Hi everyone, this is Beth Hixson. She's one of my patients and she is very into herbs and whatnot. And so last year we hosted Herbs 101, which is great. We brought in a bunch of people and she taught a lot of people about synergistic plants and whatnot, myself included. And so this year we wanted to do kind of like an Herbs 102 again, except we kind of honed in a little bit more on a couple different things. So she's going to teach you a lot of stuff about that, and obviously she's got the whole pantry here, so.
Only part of it, actually. It's embarrassing to say.
So feel free to pick her brain. She also brought in elderberries, so if you want to buy some off of her, she has those available for you. And yeah, my dad bought some last year. A lot of people did, and pretty much everyone's took. So just get like, at least 2, because my dad bought. You bought 2 or 3?
I bought 3.
And 2 took?
I think 2 of them took and 1 of them didn't.
Yeah. So because we sold them as 3 sticks. You got 3 sticks, so.
But
this time
another one this year.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't had time to plant it yet.
Yeah.
I gotta actually clear that whole area off.
Well, some of them are potted this time too, so there. Oh dear. Yeah, so I love to work with herbs, and I was kind of thinking about like how long I was kind of doing it, and then you're like, oh dear, I'm not really that old, am I? So I would say for the last 10, 15 or so years, I've been experimenting with different things, and every year there's something new I like to try and like to learn. So in Herbs 101, we basically just talked about like how to plant herbs and just different things that you can do with them. And we kind of just briefly touched on some of this, so we're gonna dive into a little bit more of what you can do with herbs. So what my plan is to show you 5 different ways to extract herbs. We're gonna talk about how to make that extraction, how to use the extraction, and then I'm gonna show you or tell you or demonstrate to you some of my favorites that I really like. I'm not going to get into like all the medicinal qualities of herbs because that's a whole other class. And so I just would say I brought some books that are good examples of resources. I would not suggest listening to people on TikTok or social media for your sources for what herbs are good for. Like really get into some good books and good resources. I'll probably, Rosemary Gladstar is like the queen of herbs. If any book by her or anything online by her. There's a book on here by Rosalie de la Floredo, and she's awesome too. So just kind of really look up some good herb classes. There's the Herbal Academy that also has some good sources. To purchase dried herbs, you can go to Mountain Rose Herbs. They also have some good blogs and information of what herbs are good for. So those are the people I would check out for what you might use these herbs for. So I'm going to talk about some basic ones that are good for everybody and how everybody can use those ones. So I hope that by the end of this that you'll be inspired to make something or try something or grow a few herbs on your own and then go for it from there. So the first extraction we're going to talk about, and you guys have handouts and I'm going to kind of follow right through there, are what we call basically infusions. And you could kind of call all of these infusions, but we're going to talk about the most basic one, which is a water infusion. So obviously a water infusion is steeping the plant material in water, but when you're doing a medicinal one, you're going to steep it longer and you're going to use more herbs than you would say for an herbal tea. We might have our little tea bags that we get at the grocery store and have a little herbal tea, but when you want it for medicinal purposes, you're going to have steep it longer and use more herb material. A lot of these we might steep for both of the medicinal benefits and the nutritive benefits. So I made an infusion for you, and there's a couple different ways we can do this. So you can boil water, you can pour it over top, you can let it steep for like 10, 20 minutes and then strain the herb and drink it if you have the little mesh balls or, I'm gonna pull this out. So a lot of times for me, let's get my hand in here, I put them in this little thing, I boil boiling water, I just sit in this all day long and I just sip it throughout the day. So then it can be a nice strong infusion that way. You can drink it hot, you can drink it cold. Another way I like to do it is in the summertime when all my herbs are growing, and I'll just go out to the garden and collect things and just put it in water and just have it in my mason jar all during the day. So I think I put down an example of lemon balm, mint, borage. Those are some really flavorful ones that you can set in the sun. You could just have it infused during the day, and it kind of gives you that flavored water. And you're also getting the medicinal benefits from those herbs too. You can, and this is what this one is, and you would do this if, say, you wanted to really get the nutritive benefits. You would do an overnight infusion. So start the same way. Basically, they'll say 1 ounce of herbs to a quart of water. Now, depending on the herb, 1 ounce could be up to here, 1 ounce could be here. Sometimes I just throw herbs in there and just put water on it, but if you wanted to really get a whole big benefit, you could do an ounce. But an ounce of nettle could fill up a whole lot of this, and I don't want to waste all my nettle that fast. So sometimes I'll just mix it with other herbs. So you would put the boiling water over it. After you always cap it afterwards, because what happens is it steams and you'll lose the benefits. So after you put the boiling water on, you always cover it. Even if I just make a mug, I put a plate over top of it and just let it sit. So all that infusion stays inside and all those medicinal benefits stay in. So this I let sit. You can let it sit overnight. Some people just put it in the refrigerator, let it sit overnight. This one I made this morning, so it's been going for like 8 more hours by now, 10 hours. This is lemon balm, oat straw, and rose hips. So lemon balm, I will talk about lemon balm a million times tonight. It's like my favorite. I love lemon balm. I put it practically in all the teas. It just has a really good flavor. It's calming. So I have, what I've done too is did I bring lemon? Yeah. My husband always goes, you have all these things in there, I don't know what to use them for. So I made little tags, so everything's on here. So lemon balm is cooling, it's antidepressant, antiviral, it's a nervine, so that's to calm your nerves, for colds, digestion, flu, cold sores. It's good for heart palpitations, different things like that. So, and lemon balm is just calm for everybody. Like, there's no contradictions. You know what I mean? Like, everybody can just enjoy lemon balm. The only thing they say about it is, like, if you take it for a couple days or a week, take a couple days off and then go back to it again, just so that it stays working. Oat straw is full of minerals. And so if you're lacking minerals and iron and you're just feeling depleted and that way, you would make an overnight infusion. Nettles are also a good thing to use for that, but I used the last of my nettles last week. So, and my new one, I have some growing, but they're not quite big enough, so you don't get nettles. But nettles are also great for an overnight infusion. It has iron and all that mineral content. And then rose hips are high in vitamin C. So I also like to use rose hips in a lot of different things. You're going to see rose hips appear a couple different times. But I thought this would be a nice infusion. So we have little cups up here. So after it's been sitting for a while, I would strain it all out. Oh, I threw a few rose petals in here too, because rose petals are a nice, my hands are clean. Okay, so we kind of squeeze a little bit, get all the good stuff out. And so if you would like to try this, I did not put any sweetener in it. You might like sweetener. Oat straw and nettles are, I think, a little grassy tasting. So I don't normally sweeten tea, but I do for oat straw and nettles, just a little bit. And for a bonus thing that's not in your notes, you could also infuse honey with herbs and berries and different things like the elderberries and use that as your sweetener. So now you get a double benefit. But we're not going to talk about too much about honey ones. So if you would like to try, yes, I'll just wash before I get nettle or oat straw. There's a little herbs floating in here because this is not a very good strainer. So like I said, this one, I'm hoping the lemon balm will sweeten up a bit, but sometimes the overnight infusions are the ones I might sweeten up, so you guys might be like, it needs a little sweetening.
Do you use maple syrup or do you use honey?
Honey. We actually have bees, but not last year, so we are out of our honey. So we did maple syrup this year. So I have been doing maple syrup.
Well,
Dad, you want?
okay. 2 more after that.
I have never tried that. You could also put stevia in, you know, and steep it with stevia. I'm actually wondering, like,
Sure.
it's a little grassy with the oat straw, but I think the lemon balm kind of mellows it out. That's why I feel like the lemon balm has to go in everything. There's hardly a tea I don't make. So I did bring, tea blending is a whole other class that I've done before, but this one is one tea that I've been using a lot of. Nettle, raspberry, blackberry leaves, hawthorn, hibiscus, rose hips, calendula, red clover, holy basil, rose petals, and you can, you know, mix all your herbs together and have a nice infusion. So that is one way that you can extract herbs, is by making an infusion. So I showed you the nettle and oat straw. Like I said, I go out in the garden and just pick mint and lemon balm and just put it in my water and just drink it throughout the day. The other thing that you can use infusions for are like hair rinses. And that's actually one thing that I started. You can make like a rose tea. Same thing, put your rose petals in. You know, I guess I'd fill this up, you know, if it was dried roses, about a cup or so at the bottom. Put the boiling water, let it cool off, strain it, and it makes a lovely hair rinse after you shampoo, and just kind of gives your hair that extra smell, kind of helps with pH. We're going to talk about different hair rinse again later that way. You could use it for compresses. You can soak your feet in an infusion. Say you have, like your kids have pink eye, chamomile is good for that. Make a compress and an eye wash. So those are other different ways that you can use a water infusion. You can also do a vapor. I've done that before, where you make put a bunch of herbs in there and you have it steaming, and you put the towel over and inhale it and help with your breathing and stuff like that. So that's a different way to use herbs that way. And then also along with water, if so you're going to use this water infusion here for flowers and petals and leaves, okay? So your oat straw, your calendula, your chamomile, my lemon balm. But say I want to do something that's more seeds or roots or bark, then I would do what's called a decoction. This is a technical term. And what you're going to do for that is, instead of just pouring boiling water over that, you're going to actually boil this for a little while and then simmer it. Depending how strong you want it to be, you could simmer it for 20 to 60 minutes or so. So that they need that longer cook time because they're rooty, or in order to get all the what's the word I'm looking for? Constituents, compounds, the herbal things out of there. I can't think of the word at the moment. So I put an example of one that I like now, is actually a dandelion mocha. And I've introduced that to several people, and now we all like to drink it. So it's a good replacement at night for coffee when you can't have coffee. So that would be considered a decoction. So you can, I actually dug up some dandelions here. We're going to use these for something different. But I would chop the roots up and roast them in the oven until they kind of get, if you want them dark roast or light roast, it's up to you. And then you have roasted dandelion root. You can use roasted chicory root and some cacao nibs, and you would decoct that for a while, a little cinnamon. It's really good. I like it. So then it's my good substitute at night. And dandelion's good for your liver and helping with digestion. So that is a decoction. Any questions about infusions or ways you might use it? I actually want everybody, if you have a different thing you like to do too, tell me about it.
2 questions. I'm not sure if it's exactly what you were saying. Number 1, as far as when you go and you forage for these items, are there any parameters that you should not go, like I know, like near railroad tracks or things like that? Like, where do your dandelions, did you just get them in your yard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I don't spray.
Okay.
So if you spray your yard, don't pick dandelions from there. So you want to go somewhere where they don't spray. These are actually in my garden, so they're coming out really nice. And then I'm like, oh man, these are too nice to not make into dandelion tea. But the other thing is, a lot like we were talking about ramps, and where I went, there's bajillions of ramps, but you just never want to take so many that there's none left, you know. And so like ramps, if you just take the top and leave the bottom, then they'll keep growing the next year. So, you know, the idea is to take responsibly so that other people have a chance too. But basically, if it's sprayed, and don't by the roadsides where the salt hits and things like that.
And you find out where like the ramps are located. You just kind of talk amongst yourselves.
Well, we ran into them there, and then once I learned what they were, and then it's like, I know this time of the year the ramps are ready, so.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, my second question is the herbs that you poured off the tea, the lemon tea. Can you do something more with those, or are they now a finished product?
Because I infused these for so long, I'll probably just throw them in compost.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll try to do a second brew. Sometimes I can get a second brew, but since this one was such a long infusion, I wouldn't. But if I do a short one, like the tea thing I had in here was a tea from the other day, so I just pour more water in it if I get something I do. But a lot of times I just end up throwing it in compost.
Okay. I had, last thing I
No.
So I had brewed, it was a 12-hour, boil it and then let it sit. It's Essiac tea. Have you ever heard of that? Well, it's a medicinal kind of tea. And so the fellow suggested that what was left over, that you dry it out and then you can make a like a balm for like skin cancer and whatnot. And it actually really works. My mom had something on her ear and it is taking it away. So I wasn't sure if there was some sort of a medicinal way to use
the leftovers.
Sure.
I haven't actually tried that, so that would be kind of something. I mean, we're going to talk about balms later, so I do make balms, but I haven't made it with the leftovers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Question with the dandelion root. After you roast it, do you grind it to a powder? Or?
I don't. So actually, the darker stuff on the top is stuff I just did the other day. So I just chop it up real fine. The stuff on the bottom, I had run out, so I had to buy some. So that bottom stuff is from what I bought. So I have another container at home too of some more. So I have to replenish. Now's the time before they start flowering, because the medicinal benefits are still in the roots. Once it starts to flower, then it's putting all the energy up into the flute. So then you wait until fall again while all the energy is going back down into the root.
So
We can have a whole lesson on dandelions. I've done a homeschool class, a whole class on dandelions.
you roast them chopped up? Or
Yeah, I roast them chopped up.
What about the leaves? Or do you use the leaves too?
So we're going to talk about. Hang on, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, Well, I dehydrated a bunch last year, and then I dehydrated it with I dehydrated that, kale, and beet greens, and then I ground it all up, and then I had green powder that I could throw on top of my eggs or put it in a smoothie all winter, and I really like that, so I want to do that again. But we're actually going to use the greens for something else. You can eat them, you can saute them, you can make a pesto out of them. See, we could have a whole class on dandelions. I like dandelion pesto, but.
And just because I'm not sure, aren't you supposed to put like a metal spoon in the jar before you pour the boiling water in it so it doesn't break? Or no, you didn't do that. That's why.
I mean, the other thing they say is like they say boiling, but you actually want to pour it right before it boils. Because sometimes I'll forget and let it boil forever, and then you're almost overcooking your herbs. But you could just run it under some warm water in your sink too, so it doesn't. Yeah. There's something else I was thinking of. Somebody said something and it made me think. So most of these, like calendula, I just grow by seed. Chamomile, I have a plant. So some of these I grow on my own, so I'm not really foraging from them. But like ashwagandha, I just buy from Mountain Rose Herbs. And the chicory root, because I do have chicory, but I just never can catch it at the right time. So that's my next goal. Oh, there we go. There we go. Because the chicory is like in the middle of the yard. Sometimes it's really hard to dig out because we have clay. So anyway. All right. Any other questions about infusions? All right, that's one way. Are you ready for number two? All right, another way that you can infuse herbs is with oils. And oils aren't something that you would easily internally take medicinally, but they can be used for lots of different things. So what you would do is, I'm going to just do a little jar. And actually I was trying to think of another herb I needed to make an oil out of. But I picked roses because I love rose oil for lotions and soaps And
And do you grow the roses?
yeah, so they're not sprayed. Actually, I could have you come. They smell so good. Yes, yeah, they smell really, really good. Where is it? Okay, well, I said I'd show you how first, so let's do that first. So what I do, these are dried. Again, there are like particular formulas, but I do how strong I like it. So I'm gonna do half a thing of roses. They're dried. The thing about oils is you don't want any moist herb in there because it tends to mold. So say I wanted to do like oregano in an oil. I need to like let it dry out a little bit. You want to chop it up so all the surfaces will touch it, the oil, and all the benefits will come out, but you don't want it to be moist. One of my favorites to make, probably one of the first oils I'll do is a chive. I'll take all the chive blossoms and I make a chive oil. And I use that for cooking or salad dressings. It's so good, and it just has that chive smell. But I need to make sure that those chive flowers are dried out a little bit before I put them in. So you want to make sure that your herbs are completely covered all the way so that nobody's sticking out of the top. And if I need to put a little bit more, you can get like a knife or your finger. I'm very professional. So this oil I'm using right now is an almond oil, a sweet almond oil, because I would like to use this for, like I said, some lotions, some like body butter or soap. So you can use almond oil, you can use olive oil, you can use jojoba oil, and that's what I did with these. These are rose hips. I have tons of wild roses around my property, and so I like to collect the rose hips. And this makes the most lovely facial serum. And so I'll strain it and I'll put it in a little bottle up in my bathroom, and then put it on, and it smells like roses. And so it's one of my favorite ones. And guess what, guys? It's a whole lot cheaper than what you can buy in the store. And it's, the antioxidant properties and the vitamin C and all that's good for your face too. So I like to do and you could use rose hips from roses. Those ones are gonna be bigger and you would chop those up. But the wild ones are nice and tiny. So I like to make that. So you could use oils for cooking. Like I said, I do the chive oil and I use it for sauteing, for salad dressings and marinades. So I like to take like oregano, thyme, rosemary, basil, parsley, all of them, and just mix it all together, like one big happy herbal oil. And then that's good for lots of different things. Sometimes I'll just do oregano oil. You can use them to make salves. So I use calendula is great, chamomile. I think I might even have, oh, you know what? I might have thrown one of them in. Aha, I did. We made a comfrey salve. So you put that, you steep oil or comfrey, you infuse comfrey into olive oil. And then I would, you let it sit for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll back up. We didn't finish talking about that. You let it sit for 4 to 6 weeks. I put it in a sunny window. I let it sit there. I label it, so I make sure I know what's in it, because you don't know what it is later, and the date. So, whatever, June 6th, it's on the window, and in 4 to 6 weeks, I can strain it out. Then when I've made the comfrey salve, then you would mix it with some beeswax. So it's like 1 ounce of beeswax to 1 cup of oil. And comfrey is good for sprains and healing wounds. Comfrey is good for lots and lots of different things. I also have a healing salve that's plantain and calendula. So you can make balms and salves with your oils. You can make a face serum, and lotions is a base for lotions, a base for soaps. So I make lots of different oils, and they're just like sitting in the back room everywhere. So dandelion oil, I've done that with the dandelion flowers. That's a way to use the flower part. So those make kind of nice for soaps and stuff too. Anything else about? So the big thing is to make sure, and then every once in a while I'll just turn it upside down and make sure that it's all underneath. If I need to put more oil on top, you just always want to make sure it stays submerged. I've always learned to put it in a sunny window. And then I was kind of reading up some things again for tonight. And some people were like, don't put it in the sunny window. Put it in a cold, dark place because it could ruin the oil. I've always put it in a sunny window because that's how I always learned how to do it. So some of the books say put it in a sunny window. Some of them say don't. So play with it and see what comes out best.
So when you have it in your oil like that, now you're going to strain the roasts out and you're going to add beeswax to that oil that's in there?
I could to do that to make a salve. But when I make a lotion, then actually I'm going to write today's date on it. See, roses. And today is 4/7/25. So now I know what I have. To make a salve or a balm, strain that out. You would warm it up. 1 cup of oil to 1 ounce of beeswax, grated beeswax. And then you'd pour it into your tin and it will solidify and you have a nice little salve or balm. Lemon balm is great like for cold sores and things like that because it's antiviral. So anyway, there's millions and thousands. Actually, one of the books that I have is all actually about healing herbal infusions. And it's got lots of really, really great recipes. So I've tried some of them. So you can, if you wanted to look through this, I'll leave it here later. But it will show you how many different ways you can use infusions. Any other questions about the oils? Or ways that you use oils? Or would like to use oils? Okay. Oh, I guess I said my favorites. Oh, the one I wanted to collect was violets, but violets aren't up yet at my house. But violets, I heard, are also good for your lymph. And I saw a deodorant that made it with violet, and I wanted to try that. So that's on my list to do this year. So it would help with our lymph drainage in our armpits. I thought that would be, that's on my list to make for this year. All right. Number 3 is vinegars. So vinegars, we're going to show how to do vinegar in a little bit later. But you're going to do a lot of the same thing that you did I forgot to move this, but you've got the papers. It's okay. There it is. Yep. Vinegars. Okay. You're going to do the same thing. So vinegars can be used in a lot of different ways too, but you're going to use the same principle as oils. You're going to put your fresh or dried herbs in a jar. You're going to cover it with vinegar. You could use apple cider vinegar. I actually made some pear vinegar, and I thought we'd use that today for our fire cider. You could use white vinegar. You could use a rice vinegar. Really, you could use any vinegar you want. But if you use apple cider vinegar, you also get those medicinal benefits from apple cider vinegar. So you're going to cover the herbs completely with vinegar, and you're going to let it sit in a sunny window for 4 to 6 weeks, and then you're going to strain it out. So ways that I like to use herbal vinegars are for salad dressings and marinades, again, for culinary. You can use it for a toner, a face toner, and a hair rinse. So there's this recipe called the Queen of Hungry Water. One of the Queen of Sheba, or I don't know, one of those queens made this all the time. And actually, this is one of the first vinegars I've made. So I gave you the recipe there, and then you would make that vinegar and then strain it, and then do like half water and half of that vinegar, because you don't want to put straight vinegar in your hair or on your face. But it's a facial toner and a hair rinse after your shampoo. So you could also add some essential oils to that, but that's a way you can use herbal vinegars. You can use it for cleaning products. One of my things I like to do is take white vinegar and throw in like rosemary. I've thrown in sage, lemons, limes, pine needles, whatever, and it makes a really great cleaner. So same thing, and then you would strain it and half water and half vinegar, and it makes the cleaner, and then it smells like pine or lemon or orange or sage. And sage is yeah, it's antiviral, and so it helps clean too. You could make a lavender vinegar, and again, mix it half water and half apple cider. You'd use apple cider vinegar for this one. Half vinegar, half water, and put it in a spray bottle, and you have a sunburn. The lavender is supposed to help heal that sunburn with the apple cider vinegar. I had brought some that I made. I made a nasturtium vinegar, which is just a fun flavor. Sometimes I'll like leave. The one time I had a nasturtium one and it made it like this really pretty color, but I think because I used apple cider vinegar, that color didn't show up as much. But nasturtiums are high in vitamin C. Then I have a dandelion vinegar. I have so this one, you can actually see the mother at the top, but this is a rosemary vinegar, and you could even use those in mocktails and stuff like that. So that's kind of a fun, different way to use those. I also like to add apple cider vinegar to my water. So sometimes if I put herbs in it, then I'll flavor it up a little bit. So those are some fun ways to use vinegars. Anything else that I like to do?
So now you're saying that's a pear vinegar, so what did you use to start it? I mean, did you use one of those scobies and then go from there, or?
So you can make your own apple cider vinegar, your own pear vinegar, and I've done peach vinegar. So when I'm making applesauce or pears or peaches, I take the scraps and I put them in a jar, like a gallon jar, and I fill it up with water. You could either take a splash from an older vinegar that already has the mother in it, or you add sugar to it, and it will eat that sugar and it will form its own mother. Then you cover it, let it sit for a couple weeks, and it'll start getting vinegary. It'll actually start getting bubbles. So once it starts getting bubbles, then you'll strain that out, let it sit for a little longer, and then until you like the taste of it, and then you would bottle it up. And I'll put it in like one of those flip top bottles, or this one's in here. Yeah, so then you would bottle up. So it's really easy because it's just scraps and water and.
Do you do that with a lid, or do you put a balloon over it? Or?
Yeah, so when I first do it, coffee filters. So when because you want air to come through it, because it's aerobic fermentation, right? So then I will put that like that on top of my refrigerator and let it sit until it starts bubbling. And then I try to remember, because it's usually in the middle of the summer and I forget, oh no, how long have you been up there? And then I'll strain it out and then just taste it to make sure you like it. Again, making sure that all your containers are really clean, because I have got mine to go moldy on me before. So just, you want to make sure everything's like really sterile, because it could mold if you don't.
Is it best to use the plastic lids? Because I was just using regular like canning lids.
So anytime you have a vinegar, you don't want to use the metal because it corrodes. So then if I have a vinegar, then I put the plastic lids in, or use these, or put like parchment paper or wax paper between it. So I've done that before too. I actually was going to I just didn't want to bring more, so I just thought, I'm just going to bring the plastic lids today.
And
so.
I mean, it seems like it's a lot easier with the plastic.
Yeah, and I like it too, because I take my dry erase marker, I write on the top, and then I erase it, and then I just keep using them over and over again. So, yeah, that's my method of,
When you strain it, do you get rid of the mother? Or
some of the mother kind of goes through, like the mother really forms a little bit later. Like, so when you have all the chunks of fruit in there, you would strain that, and the mother starts really forming after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're straining out the fruit.
The fruit chunks, yeah.
Is that when you add sugar then after you strain it?
No, when you put the fruit chunks in. Yeah, when you're doing it. And so you let it sit like maybe 2 weeks or so. And then, like I said, like wait till I get some bubbles. And I'll put sugar in at the beginning if I don't have, or if I have some vinegar already. I'll just put like a tablespoon or so in there, because then it already has some of that vinegar, or the starter in it. Yeah, I'm lacking words tonight.
The benefit of the mother is what? Because I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is.
Let me use my, it like the scope, it's still living, and it's the enzymes in it that help with like your gut flora, and so there's what's the word I'm looking for, bacteria kind of in there that helps with your biome and things too.
So can you transfer it into the next vinegar that you
say you used all your vinegar and you had a mother floating at the bottom, then you could definitely switch it over to the next one, like the scobies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can last for years.
Potentially
the mother?
Yeah, if you kept feeding it. I'm trying to think about it. Well, like that one really had a big mother in it. So yeah, I might switch that guy over to but that one's in rosemary, so it's flavored, so maybe I won't. Now that I think about it. Yeah. Or did you have a question? Oh.
So do you put the core of the apple in there with
Mhm.
the seeds too?
Mhm.
The seeds
Mhm.
are okay.
Yeah, so I core my apples when I'm making like dehydrated apples or applesauce or whatever. And I just put whatever, stems, core, skin, whatever. Instead of throwing it away, it goes into a jar and gets covered with water.
How much sugar would you put in?
Just like a teaspoon or two, not that much, or not more than a tablespoon.
You said after you strain it, and then you said taste it to see if it needs more.
When you're gonna let it sit for a little longer, let it sit for a couple, like another week or two, and then start tasting it, and then.
And you have to add more sugar if you need it to go, or it'll just keep on its own.
hmm I mean, maybe if you felt like it wasn't going, you could add a little sugar because it's going to eat that sugar. But
So do you taste it before you strain it?
no, you're going to strain it first, and then it's got to sit again before you bottle it. So you don't bottle it until you kind of like the flavor of it, or
So you just put the coffee thing on top of it again until it's done.
yeah,
Do you rubber band it or?
yes, I rubber band it, yeah. Or if you had like the ring, you could put the ring on it. But I have these big pickle jars, and then the rings fit on it, so I just rubber band it. Yeah, and you're keeping it covered because the fruit flies will find the fruit flies will always find it.
When you use it, do you shake it to get the mother all in it, you know?
I don't shake it much. I kind of just let it sit.
All the stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole, see, you guys got freebie, how to make apple cider vinegar. But then it's fun. Like you can do pear, I've done peach, and they all are the same. It's the same benefits, it's just a little different flavor. But, so the benefit of using apple cider vinegar is because so you want to use vinegars for things that are, like if it's a delicate flavor, it's not going to do really well in a vinegar. So you want something like thyme can stand on its own, rosemary can stand on its own, those kind of things. And the apple cider vinegar already has mineral nutritive properties to it, and it works as a preservative too. So vinegars will last for a while if you make an herbal vinegar. We're actually going to, well, we'll go to any more questions on this because I'm going to show you how to do the herbal vinegar. So the next one, once you've learned how to make an herbal vinegar, you can make an oxymel. So an oxymel is basically taking that herbal vinegar and adding honey to it. And so you would use this for like immune building and respiratory things. So the one that we're gonna show you how to make fire cider, but before I get to fire cider, I also, like around COVID, was like, okay, what can we do to stay home? I'm not going to the hospital. Like, what are we gonna do? So I saw this recipe, and thyme is good for your bronchioles. They really help open up your bronchioles. So I did thyme, sage, and red clover. Sage is also good for sore throat. It's antiviral. A red clover helps with flu. And I steeped that in the vinegar, and then you mix it with honey. Well, we hadn't gotten sick. The one day I got sick, and I thought it was like a sinus infection. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this. And I was drinking, like when you use it medicinally, you need to take it every 2 hours, whether it's the fire cider or whatever. So every 2 hours, I was like slugging it, and like it tastes fine, but after a while, I was like, oh, I don't want to take this anymore. So I was like mixing it with hot water. So you could take it in a shot glass, or you could put it in a tea. But by the end of the day, like the next day, I was fine. And then I thought, oh, I just had a sinus infection. Until then, my husband went down and my son went down. I was like, oh, I don't think it's a sinus infection. But they didn't take it, so I was like, you should take it. I think, did I give you some, or was it Rosie? I think I gave Rosie some, and Barb too. When they were sick, I gave them some of that thyme oxymel. It's pungent. Thyme has a strong flavor in the vinegar, but it worked. So the other one I really like and I use a lot is fire cider. So this is the famous Rosemary Gladstar recipe of fire cider. I see people sell it now. It's really easy to make. And so we are going to make some fire cider. I take fire cider, especially in the winter, like I just take a shot glass almost every day. You take it, if you're sick, again, you would take it every 2 hours. If everyone around you is sick, just take some fire cider. If I'm feeling funky for the day, fire cider. Food poisoning, fire cider. I'm trying to think what else people use it for. I mean, even if you're just feeling kind of like down and don't, whatever, fire cider. So there is a book called Fire Cider, and there's all kinds of different recipes. I thought it was in my pile, but I guess I left it at home. But you could really put anything you want in fire cider. But this is the basic original recipe. I usually make it in a half-gallon containers, but I'm just going to do it in a quart tonight. So fire cider is going to be onion. Uh-oh, let's go this way. Should have sharpened my knife before I came. I'm gonna actually put them in here. So I think the recipe I gave you is for half a gallon. And so you are going to chop up some onion. I'm just gonna put them all in here and we're gonna kind of chop it all together. So again, these are just, like, I watched Rosemary online make fire cider in front of people, and she's just like, it doesn't matter, just whatever you want, you know. So there is a suggestion for it, and it's like, the idea is you kind of want that pungentness. So onion. Then we need, so all of this was grown in my yard except for ginger. I can't get ginger to grow. So this is horseradish. So I can already smell it. So that also clears your sinuses while you make it. So I've had this horseradish in my freezer, and my horseradish took over. So horseradish, and a little bit more, right? Some ginger.
Do you peel your ginger?
I don't always. Was you're supposed to. It's organic. I mean, I think I might for this though, because I don't really know if I want the skins in here. When I make, I was telling Josh just the other day, I make ginger beer. And it's like you make it, basically you're fermenting ginger, and I don't take the peel off. But that's because I'm grating it.
I made that, it came out so good.
Oh, I love it. It's
so much better than.
It's way better. And then you can flavor it with elderberries. You can make an elderberry bug the same way you do a ginger bug. Okay. Well, we might just not put, and I think it only said a little less of the ginger. I think it said a quarter cup.
If you already had homemade horseradish at home, would you use that?
Yeah.
Instead of just the root?
Yeah, no, yeah, this is what I use for horseradish at home. And it actually, they say to, don't grind it until you're ready to use it. So.
The ginger?
The horseradish. Because it loses its pungency. Sorry guys, I'm making a mess. All right, garlic. And garlic obviously is a form of an antibiotic too. And you can infuse honey with garlic and take that. You can put garlic in olive oil and rub it on your feet if you're feeling sick, and put socks on. And that works. I got my husband to do it and it worked. So you can use it for on a baby too, and rub it on their chest if they're having coughs and they can't, they're fighting the flu or coughs. So you can also infuse olive oil or garlic in olive oil, and you can infuse garlic in honey. How many did I put in there? We need more garlic.
Did you ever hear about putting sliced onions on the bottom of your feet to stop you from coughing?
So I think it's the same idea with the garlic too, because I think garlic and onions kind of are this. Mm-hmm.
How long do your feet smell like garlic?
Yeah, you kind of smell like salad when you go to bed. I hate sleeping with socks on, but I did it for that and it worked. But yeah, I like, oh, we smell like a salad. Okay. So I'm going to just grind this up. So we've got onion, garlic, ginger, and horseradish. And you just want to chop those up a little bit. And I'm going to put those in my jar. I didn't bring a spoon. We're just going to. I actually have a little bit of fire cider here. Now this one isn't as sweet because I was running out of honey. So I didn't put as much honey in it as I do. Some people say for oxymels that maybe you would do like half vinegar and half honey. And I think that's a lot of honey. I wouldn't do that much. So I would say do as much honey to taste as you like or you can stand. Maybe you need that much honey. So lemon is optional, but I think lemon also adds a little bit of vitamin C and some of that good properties. The other key thing is cayenne. You can use jalapenos. You can use fresh. I only had dried because we're in the middle of the winter. So these are dry. I dried some cayenne. Sometimes I chop them up. Sometimes I just stick the whole thing in there. Since we're just running out of time.
Did you grow those?
Yeah. Okay, cayenne. What else did I forget? Anything? Horseradish, onions, garlic, ginger. Now, I didn't bring any today, but I also add herbs. I'll add like thyme. I've added sage. Sometimes I added rosemary. Sometimes I put red clover in it. Sometimes, so it depends like what I have and what I feel like putting in. So that's the basic one. I also have tons of elderberries in my freezer. So I'm gonna actually put some elderberry in here too. Because elderberries obviously are good for flu and fighting all that kind of things too. So now that I've got all my stuff in there, we're gonna pour our vinegar over top and let it cover. Once you do this, you actually do want to shake this every couple of days or so, whenever you remember. I will put this in the cupboard. Like I won't leave this on the, I don't put this in the sunny window. I do leave this in my pantry. And then I just kind of go every once in a while, if I remember, I stir it all up and I will let that sit for 4 to 6 weeks. Some people say 2 weeks. If I needed to use it, I would take a little bit out and add a little bit of honey, but I would let it steep longer. But there's no hard rule. Sometimes I've let it sit for 8 weeks, you know, it's not gonna hurt it. So whenever you're ready, but at least 4 to 6 weeks, then you will strain it and then you will add your honey. So you can warm your honey up a little bit so that it stirs in there and it dissolves. And then I will put it back in a container like this, but then I keep it in a little bottle like this in my cupboard so that I can just throw it in a shot glass and drink it whenever I need it. So that is the recipe for the famous fire cider.
I think it's added to after it's strained.
Yep, so I will let this sit 4 to 6 weeks. I will strain it and then I will add the honey and stir that up. You know, like I said, warm up the honey a little bit. Not too much because you don't want to ruin the medicinal benefits of honey. So the honey also acts as a preservative and this can last for over a year. Some people refrigerate it. I never do. I just let it sit in my pantry. Cool, dark place. Between the vinegar and the honey, those that will help preserve it for a while. So I would suppose the more honey you put in, maybe the more it would preserve it, but I just put in enough that I can handle drinking it. I will also say this, you gotta put it in your mouth, let it sit there for a little while, and then swallow it. Yeah, just let it mix with saliva for a little bit. But you can also use this for salad dressing. And then you mix that with some oil, it would calm it down a little bit. So you could probably put it in if you didn't want to drink it straight, you could add it to some water and tea or something like that too. But this is the first time I made it with pear vinegar, so I'm actually kind of excited to see how that comes out instead of apple cider vinegar. So maybe it'll give it a little different flavor. But that is the famous fire cider. I've also made elderberry oxymel. So same thing. I put elderberries in apple cider vinegar, let it sit for a while, and then I steeped it. So you could also put cinnamon, cloves, and ginger in there and kind of do like a elderberry syrup, except for as oxymel. So maybe I would do something like this, like say it's the middle of the summer and the elderberries are coming in and I just don't have time to stand over my stove and cook down. It doesn't take that long to make elderberry syrup, but maybe I'm feeling lazy and I'm just gonna throw it all in some vinegar, throw in my cloves, my ginger, my cinnamon stick and let it sit. Then I strain it and can mix it with some honey. Now, the only, elderberry syrup is so sweet and tastes really good just by itself. So this will have a vinegary flavor. But then again, you could add this to sparkling water. You could add it to just plain water. And so you could have a drink out of it and still get benefits from it. So I had 2 of these, so I'm down to 1. I have been using my elderberry oxymel. So I had a lot of elderberries, so I was just trying to I was experimenting with new ways to use elderberries.
Did you actually cook the elderberries down?
I did not because I'm straining them. We're just not eating the elderberries raw, but because it's just being infused. You can also infuse honey with elderberries and make like a fermented elderberry honey. You could do with ginger.
Lovely. Is that good?
It's just very fermented. Yeah. All right. Any questions about, I made a big mess.
Can I try the fire cider?
Oh yeah, if you would like to try some. Now this one is not as sweet, like I said, because I was running out of honey.
Put it in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, if you would like to try some. Like I said, this one I don't think came out as sweet as my other ones normally do because I skimped on the honey.
That's good.
Thank you.
I like it.
And yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Does that give you enough? Okay. Yeah. I think it's, I mean,
Really good.
I take it almost every day. Yeah.
Pregnancy, but.
No, you should be fine.
Okay.
Yep, you should be fine. It's food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's food. And there's nothing in there that you want to eat while you're pregnant. Yeah.
Oh, that is good.
I have more at home. And now I'm making more. Would you like to try some?
As a treatment, you know, like you were saying, how much of this little cup would you do?
Again, yeah, I think like a shot glass.
Thank
you.
Every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours. Yeah. And like I said, it tastes good for a while. Later on in the day, I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, when you're around everybody that's coughing, and I kind of laugh as soon as someone in the family gets sick, I'm like, fire cider, and I just start drinking fire cider. But yeah, if you are not feeling well, and it's just funny, like, I don't know, sometimes I just feel off. I don't even know, like, maybe women understand this more. Okay, fire cider works, it helps, I'm just telling you. Okay, so fire cider is a type of oxymel. So yeah, there's that 3 different oxymel recipe or ideas I gave you, and you can use those for all kinds of fun things. All right, we have one more left. Tinctures. All right, so tinctures basically use alcohol. Now, some people don't want to have alcohol, and so they make tinctures out of vinegar instead. So that would give you that vinegar flavor. Vinegar doesn't pull out all the constituents or the compounds of the herbs quite as effectively as alcohol. And so if you want that really strong medicinal benefit, then you would make a tincture. Some people use glycerite. I tried it one time, and I think I totally messed up. And it's supposed to be really sweet, and so I can't tell you a lot about glycerites. So I'm going to tell you what I do for an alcohol tincture, but but you're also taking so little. Like I'm not. I don't just drink alcohol, but you're just taking a dropfuls. So it's not like you're drinking a whole cup, okay? So it's highly effective in extracting all the compounds from the herb. There are technical, mathematical ways to make tinctures, and you can look them up online, because I'm gonna tell you the folk method. You would use those, say, if you were gonna sell tinctures, or if you want to guarantee every single time I take this that the potency is exactly the right way. But you're basically gonna, and with the folk method, you're pretty close. But if you want it to be exact, there are some of these books have those mathematical things. But I'm just gonna tell you, I'm an easy person, so I like to keep things simple. So basically, you need an 80 or 90 proof vodka or alcohol, and you can use other things, but vodka, they say, is like just doesn't have flavor. I mean, it doesn't have its own unique flavor. There's nothing else added to it. The other one is Everclear, which is a grain alcohol, but you have to mix it with water. So I just stick with the thing I can just dump, right? And I don't have to so I'm simple. So 80 to 90 proof alcohol is what you'll need. This I also do not put in the sun. I put it in a cool, dark place. I will start it off in like a little jar. In fact, I think I have a cayenne tincture going right here. So sometimes I do little jars, sometimes I do bigger jars. I let it sit. Every once in a while, I just give it a little shakeroo. And then you will strain it, And then they need to be packed in amber bottles. Okay, you want to make sure that no sun is getting to them. I always make sure, they're labeled. And now what I've done, this isn't the one I use all the time, but I've also put a little thing on the back that tells me what it's good for, because I can't remember all the time too. And then my husband's always like, I don't know what these are used for. So I wrote all the little things on the back. I have bigger bottles that maybe I'll make a batch and I'll put it in here, but then I'll put it in a smaller dropper bottle. So, some of them are labeled. So you might use a tincture. Say you don't, tinctures also preserve herbs for a very long time. It has a very long shelf life. I think, say we just went on a trip. You don't always want to have tea, right? You're not going to bring your tea bags and your tea or whatever. So sometimes a tincture might work better for something like that. Or you want something to work, you don't want to spend all the time making a tea. You just want to take something right now. So the tinctures are beneficial for that. Tinctures also don't go through your digestive system because of the alcohol. They go right into your bloodstream. So they work a little bit faster, and they don't have to go through the digestive. So say maybe you had problems absorbing through your intestines, then a tincture would work better because it'll absorb right into your bloodstream without having to go through the digestive system. Standard treatment, say 1 to 2 dropfuls, 2 to 3 times a day. Again, if you were sick, you might go 3 to 5 times a day. I just kind of use them for more maintenance kind of things. I'm going to tell you this is my favorites. For children, some people don't give them the alcohol tinctures, but again, you're taking a very small amount, and then they're only going to get 5 to 15 drops, and you can dilute it in water, or you can just put it right in your mouth. Sometimes I just squirt them right in my mouth. Sometimes I do put them in water to drink throughout the day. So it's really your preference of what you would rather do. So what we were talking about, the dandelion. One of the ones that we use a lot is dandelion. And dandelion, maybe you're going to eat a big Thanksgiving dinner and you're going to be really full. So you can have dandelion as a bitter. So it starts those digestive processes already. So you can get that going before, or maybe you ate a big meal and you're just really full. So dandelion is good for that. After what I did is the other day I made dandelion roots. So I saved the tops. I chopped it up really fine just for you guys. This has a mixture of, so like this big part I want to save for my dandelion root. These ones actually all have big ones, but a lot of times I have all these little wispy little roots coming off. So it's really funny because actually this time there are no wispy roots, but those are gonna burn. So I just want these big pieces for my dandelion root. So I took all those little wispy, or like this, maybe I'll take this part off. This is skinny, it's gonna burn. So maybe I'll put this and I'll save it and I'll make a tincture out of it instead. So normally I would chop it, but since my knife is all dirty, we're just gonna go like this. You'll get the idea. So basically they'll say if you're using a dried herb, it's a 1 to 5. So I might fill up this just a little bit on the bottom and then the rest with alcohol. For fresh herbs, they'll say 1 to 2. Again, that's the, so like 1 part, so 1 part herb to 2 parts of the alcohol. Did I say that the right way? Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay. So again, I'm gonna cover this all the way up to the top. Make sure that it's completely covered. We use dandelion tincture kind of a lot, but we also like to make the dandelion tea, so. Oh, I only have a metal lid. We're gonna steal this one. Again, same thing with alcohol. Sometimes I'll use these ones, or I'll put a piece of parchment paper or wax paper in between. So I will label it dandelion, so I remember what it is. And I'll put today's date, and I will let this sit for 4 to 6 weeks. And every once in a while, I go in there and give it a little shakeroo. I will strain it out, and I will put it in a different bottle. Usually I have like a bigger bottle, and then I have a smaller one with the dropper in it. So I also have lemon balm and dandelion tincture. If you would like to try one of those, you can put it in some water, or you can just put it in your little cup and give it a try. So again, lemon balm is just the best, you're just on edge, you're a little nervous, you're gonna teach a class, you just take a little lemon balm. It's just very soothing and calming. We took it with us when we were on the airplane. Dandelion, again, for your digestive system. Cayenne is really hot, but they use it. So this is what I've heard, I've read, and I know somebody who said that they had some, I don't know what it is, so I'm not explaining it very well, but they had something where they got stroke symptoms often, and they would take cayenne and it would actually stop the stroke symptoms. So they say if somebody's having a heart attack, you give them, call 911, then give them some cayenne tincture, or you can have cayenne tea. But do that like every 2 minutes or so until the ambulance gets there. And sometimes that helps keep them alive or keeps their circulation, because it opens up your circulatory system. It's also for inflammation. So for muscle pains and stuff like that. So that's why I was making the olive oil, because I want to make it into a salve for muscle pain because it helps with inflammation. So cayenne tincture is one. You can make the other thing that's kind of neat is I have all these separate ones, but I will combine them and make say a heart tincture. So hawthorn, motherwort, and cayenne would all be something you'd put in a heart tincture to strengthen your heart. I have some for hormones, and guys can use hormone support and girls can use hormone support. So you can combine different herbs for that. Ashwagandha is another one. That's that's an easy one to take for, again, stress and calm and just getting that energy. So you can take them individually, or you can formulate them and mix them together and instead of taking 3 different tinctures, then I'll make a combination and then I just take that one. The other thing I like to do is I'll put them in little bottles like this, so that when I'm traveling, I have them in my purse. I have some thyme oxymel, I have my cayenne, lemon balm, and some fire cider. So when we're on the airplane or whatever, or just have it in your purse or whatever. So I do that sometimes too. Just to carry my tinctures with me. They're small enough. Oh. They went through. So yeah, they didn't smell bad, or I don't know, it went through. Yeah, I couldn't take this one, but if you would like to try the dandelion or the lemon balm, the dandelion, you can do only roots. I've done that before, and I've done ones where I've done both roots and leaves like this, so you can do both. Lemon balm is just the leaves. These are hawthorn berries. So hawthorns, you could just put those in and cover. Again, the root ones are great because it helps really the alcohol draws out all the compounds of those herbs. So that's ashwagandha. The lemon balm, yeah, that's lemon balm there. So what else would I make a tincture out of? Tinctures are something I've been just starting, so I feel like I'm kind of just telling you what I know a little bit. I've been using those for a couple years and just trying new ones every year. Oregano is a new one I tried. What's interesting to me is how everyone has a different flavor. Oregano actually tastes like oregano, and they each taste different. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I guess maybe I thought they'd all taste like the same thing, but they don't. They all have their own unique flavor. So any questions about tinctures?
More about the plastic lids. You get those online?
Walmart.
Walmart?
In the canning section. Yeah.
Not necessarily about tinctures, but as I am watching you and listening to you, you have a sense of confidence. And I think my insecurity is coming with, am I going to be grabbing the right, the proper ingredients, meaning if I go out foraging or whatnot, am I going to poison my family? That's my first insecurity. And number 2, am I going to overdose on some of these items? Or will there be I can't think of another word, a contamination if I'm doing this and this and this, because I feel like there's no one watching over me and I'm a little kid and playing doctor, and I want to do it, but I'm insecure. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I read a lot. And I just make sure, so anytime I'm going to make a tea or a tincture, I actually probably go through 3 or 4 books, and I make sure that those books are saying the same thing. So part of it is reading, and then part of it is picking something simple, just pick one. Don't try to do all of them. Let's say I can do dandelion. I know what a dandelion looks like. So pick one thing. Okay, let's make a tincture with dandelion. Let's make it, one thing. I can be confident in that one that I know before you add others. Because I didn't do all this all at the same time. It's like I do one little thing. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I add to it. So I always tell everybody pick one easy one and just practice on that first. The other thing is, okay, now I might go a little bit over everyone's head. Just hang with me for a second. The problem is we look in the herb book and we say coughs. What herb does coughs? But it depends what kind of cough you have. So not all are, there are going to be like a ton of herbs that do a cough. But is your cough wet or is your cough dry? Is your digestion sluggish or is it moving too fast? So each herb, so if it's, they have what's called herbal energetics. So I'm just gonna pull lemon balm up. And so I wrote it down. It's cooling and relaxing. So if I'm a cold person or I'm feeling cold, maybe lemon balm isn't the thing for you. You need a warming herb. I tend to run probably on the hot side. So I love lemon balm because it's cooling and relaxing. So like ginger is hot. And so part of it, not to discourage you and not to be whatever, but if something's not working, then maybe think that way too. So I just start with one little thing and say, okay, I know this one. I don't need to know all the herbs for cough and flu, but I know, this one. So this one, practice that one. And have one for hot, one for cold, one for wet, one for dry.
And how many years have you been doing this?
Well, I've been messing with it for, good grief, I don't know. I've been doing probably 15 years with some of the herbs and vinegars. The tinctures I've been just messing with the last couple years. I just keep adding one little thing and then keep growing one more thing and like I learned about motherwort. I've got to grow a motherwort. And last class somebody gave me nettles. So now I have nettles. And so I heard how good they were, but I haven't tried them. So I just say pick one thing and then say let me get really confident in that one thing. Does that help?
It does help because I want to do it all, but I'm very insecure and I don't want to kill
And I was going to say, I don't go into there are really wonky herbs out there and I just don't go into those ones. So there are ones that have contradictions and there are ones that they say don't take if you're pregnant. There's a lot they say don't take if you're pregnant. So it's like really knowing, okay, if I'm pregnant, then, I'm not taking raspberry until the last trimester. And so those are things, that's why I'm saying find good books, find good sources and just really make sure. So then I'm confident in that one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you give us a list of your books?
I didn't give you a list, but they're here.
Is it possible that you could send me a list of some of the books?
Yeah.
And then I can just disseminate them?
Yeah. One easy one is Rosemary Gladstar. Like I said, her medicinal herbs, easy. And if you listen to her on her podcast online, she just has a lot of really good things and she does a lot of talks and you can listen to her do her talks. And so that one is really great. This was a new person and she's on Instagram too also. But I actually like a lot of her recipes, just kind of gives me good ideas. And the other one that I really like this book is The Alchemy of Herbs and it's by Rosalie de la Florette. I don't know how to say her name. And she has a podcast also. And this one has a lot of really good recipes and she goes into a lot of the energetics. So if you want to learn more about the energetics of herbs, the hot, the cold, the wet, the dry, and she divides the book into sweet, sour. So some of it, I'm still trying to learn all of that, but I'm getting there, right? These ones go a little bit deeper into plant medicine, how to make plant medicine. But they all have plant profiles on the back. So then like I said, I just go back and I just read them all. And so then it was helpful when I was doing this because then I went through all the books again. And so writing it down helps put it in my brain too. Because sometimes I forget and I'm like, oh wait, is it that one or is it this one? And so then I just write it down. Yeah.
With doing the tinctures with the vodka, Kamchatka, you probably would not want to do shots of it. It's a lower end.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Lower end, higher
Right.
end.
They say get the cheapest stuff you can. Yeah, get the cheapest stuff you can because it doesn't really matter. You're just using it for preservative. So the other thing is if you use dry herbs, you might get away with 40 proof because they're dry. It's the moisture that you want the higher proof too. So I guess a downside to tinctures is they can get expensive because you have to buy the high proof alcohol. But yeah, I buy the cheapest one. Like I go in there, I'm like, I don't even know what's all this stuff here. I'm like, where's the cheapest one? Okay, but Everclear is one that a lot of people say because it's a grain alcohol, but I think you have to mix water with that one because it's so high. So at the end, I kind of did a comparison chart because sometimes people were like, well, when would I use this? When would I use that? Like I said, I didn't start using tinctures until recently. And a lot of times I was just using like the teas and just different things like that. So I kind of gave like, well, why would you use this one? Maybe some downsides to it and some, just again, that comparison, like maybe a quick chart for you to look and say, how would I use this one in different ways? Like I said, tinctures is something I'm just learning about, and I feel like it gets more medicinal, so I'm just going to tell you how to make the tinctures, and then you're going to have to do the research on the medicinal part of it. But
Now with the tinctures, you can take them as droppers or in water. Would you want to add them to like a tea?
you could. People have done that too. Yep. Right, and like ashwagandha, because it's a root, you're going to have to make a decoction. Well, it's going to take forever to make. So maybe I just want some ashwagandha. That's where the tincture comes in handy because I don't have to sit there and wait for it to cook for 30 minutes, you know. So, yeah, I like, does anybody do ashwagandha? It's good. It's, well, maybe you should smell it. It kind of, is this the one? Maybe it's astragalus. One of them has a peanut butter smell. It's an adrenal tonic, helps reduce stress, recovery from disease, helps anxiety, depression, exhaustion, and poor muscle tone. It's an adaptogen, an anti-inflammatory, and a nervine. So it's a good one to have too.
It is, but then I'm wondering, can you overdose?
But if you're only taking, but I think it's if you're only taking it a couple dropfuls, a couple times a day, you're not going to overdose on it. As a tincture. Mm-hmm.
And you,
Sometimes astragalus is more for like sick, yes. Sometimes I add astragalus to fire cider, and sometimes I'll put ashwagandha in my dandelion mocha. You could put it in a bone broth if you wanted to too. So you could add it to food. The thing about these, a lot of them are food. You know what I mean? It's like, it's food. And that's what I think about like hawthorn. It's food. You can make syrup and berry, like you can eat it. So you're not, a lot of them, I mean, there are some, right? But for I guess I like to deal with the ones that are like food, you know?
Not deadly.
Right, right.
now with the ashwagandha, is that something you buy or do you harvest that yourself?
Yeah, I buy it. I don't know, I don't think it's very easy to grow. And I'm trying to look at it. Doesn't seem like it grows in our area, but yeah, kind of like ginger doesn't really grow real well here. But I've never actually seen an ashwagandha plant. So it's not at the nursery.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any other questions or?
Yeah, like in order for like the lemon balm to be like useful for you for like the anxiety and the calming, about roughly how many drops are you taking per day?
Well, see, this one's actually a big dropper. They're not usually that big. So I might just take one dropper full, like whenever I just feel like I need a little,
Okay.
right. I don't take it repeatedly during the day, but if you just feel like you really need that. But again, like take lemon balm a couple days and then stop, and then start it up again. They say take a few days off just so that it keeps working. Lemon balm is one of those ones that you just take a little break. Again, you're not gonna overdose on it because lemon balm's calm. It's gonna lose its effectiveness. And there are things that you do have to watch, like with medicines. So that's why I say get the books and look it up. Most of them are, but yeah, always check. So that's why I'm like, I'm not gonna get too deep into all of that part because yeah.
Now, are you doing this as a hobby, or do you have your own little store?
I just do it for us, just for my family, except for they don't want to take it. And the other thing is like, I never get sick. And then I'm like, oh good, you're sick. Let me try this on you. So, well, it was fun. I hope you learned something and maybe want to try something. If you want to try one of the tinctures, I have these two because I have tons of lemonberry and dandelion tincture because I have so much lemon balm and dandelion that I was like, wow, I have a lot of that. So
just put it in our cup?
yep, put it in your cup. You could mix it with water or just take a couple drops. I just put it in my mouth. So yeah. All right. Oh, there's the fire cider.
That's the one that's said to get.
Yeah, that one just has like so many different varieties of fire cider. I mean, just it's actually kind of crazy.